Thank you so much for joining me today. I've been wanting to talk to you for so long.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
Slammiversary is coming up and you're facing a mystery opponent. So what is it like getting ready for and promoing for like a match where you don't even know who the person is going to be?
Yeah, it's difficult because there's so many options, and on Twitter, like, fans have thrown so many different names out that I was actually at the ring training a little bit earlier this morning, and it was like, okay, how do I just focus on me, because that's all that I can control. So I think in the few weeks leading up to this, I've really been able to be dominant and show that no matter who my opponent is, I can handle them on my own without Kimberly or Susan. It's just controlling what I can control and bringing to the table my best self to defend my Knockouts championship.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a great time to have a mystery opponent because you will have some fans back for Slammiversary. So how do you feel about the fans coming back, and what's your excitement level for that?
Oh, I like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at like a 25. I'm so excited to have fans back. I have not ever, that I've been back at Impact the last year and a half, had fans. So this would be like my first time, but I'm so excited to get a champion's welcome. So they better cheer for me. But I think that, with the world opening up and being able to have fans, everyone is just super excited. So I think the energy is going to be insane. I think that, we're going to be able to present, Impact Wrestling at its best. We've been able to build and grow, and there's so many new stars in the last year. Our world changed last year, and it's going to change again with surprises. So I think there's just so much to be excited for, and so much to bring to the table from Impact Wrestling, and then with fans now too, just pushes it that much further.
Yeah. So as you said, you got to Impact and there's no fans. How did you in any way adjust your game over this past year for having no fans there? And for you, when you were making your debut, knowing that there'd be no one there, how did you maybe do something differently to make it as big a moment as possible, even though you weren't going to get any kind of reaction?
Yeah, I think that I always forget this, especially when I do like independent shows and things like that. Social media is in some cases way more than just having a product on TV. So although we don't have fans, I think that every company, but with Impact specifically for me, has been able to capitalize on the social media aspect, where it didn't really matter that there weren't people in the building, because we can push so much more and get so much more eyes on our products through Twitter and Twitch and YouTube and Instagram and all of these things combined. So I think as a company, we've been able to really push that social presence further. But then for me as a wrestler, I have quite a slow style. I'm very methodical. I like to take my time and have a slower pace. So not having fans there for my wrestling wasn't really that big of a deal, because sometimes your fans can dictate the pace and make you slow down or stop. And for me, it's just kind of like, okay, I know I'm great. I don't need that response. I'm going to do what I do, whether you're there or not, whether you like it or not. So I think maybe necessarily in the last year or so, I've been able to focus on more character-driven stuff, and been able to use that social media more to get more of a reaction than necessarily just with my wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Have you felt like your relationship with social media has changed, not just over the past year, but then once you left NXT, then it's a good tool to have to like put yourself out there and keep yourself out there? And so how has your relationship with social media changed since when you were in NXT in such a big company, then being released, then being in another big company but with no fans?
What's funny, that I think I've said this in interviews in the past, or maybe tweeted it, but my social media has grown probably 3 times since I was released from NXT. My tweet that I put out right the day that I was released got like over 2 million hits. So my presence, just with what I've been able to do, and then what I've done with Impact over the last year and a half, has grown my following tremendously, more so than anywhere else that I've been. And I think just being able to be consistent and show who I am in wrestling and then who Deonna Purrazzo is as a human being and what my family is like and things like that. That's what intrigues people more than just who we are as wrestlers, who we are as people, what our interests are, what our hobbies are, what we're going through day to day. So I think just being able to capitalize on that and show more of myself and my dogs and my boyfriend and things like that has really engaged people more than just wrestling. But then also, when I was with NXT, I wasn't doing as much wrestling. I didn't have as much of a character or a presence on television. So I'm on TV in some capacity with Impact every single week, whether it be a backstage promo, which I've been able to grow tremendously at, because that was my weakest point in wrestling at one point, or my wrestling, or, funny things with Susan and Kim and be able to, tie it in, come full circle, has been able to push that envelope more for me too.
Mm-hmm. Going back to Mystery Opponent, as you said, like it's all anyone's talking about on Twitter and theorizing who it could be. Out of people that we've seen recently be released, which people do you have your eye on the most?
It's hard because you'd think, okay, well, Chelsea Green's my best friend, so I kind of have an idea what she's doing, and if it was going to be her, obviously she wouldn't tell me. So has she been lying to me this long? Britt Baker and I have some fun on Twitter back and forth about the possibility of a dream match for both of us. Has she been lying to me this long? There's just so many people that it could be, but obviously if I could pick anyone, I'd want Chelsea to come into Impact. I know she just debuted on Ring of Honor, but there is possibility for her to go elsewhere. So she's always high on my list. And then there's people like Mickie James. There's people like the Iconics. Because I was in their situation, a year and a half ago, I want them to get all of the opportunities, explore every possibility for every ounce of success that they can find outside of their former employer. So if that means stepping up to the Knockouts champion, I'm all for it, but they're all going to fall because we are in the age of the virtuosa.
When it comes to someone like Chelsea that you're so close to, then she finds herself in the same situation that you're in. What's the kind of best advice you can give to anyone in that situation? Because you made so much of it.
Yeah, I think me and Chelsea and Britt, and then we have someone like Karen Q, and now Taya Valkyrie's in Florida with us, Mackenzie Mitchell. We have such a tight-knit group of girls who all can be honest with each other, and we can lean on when we're in these weird times and transitional times of what's next. And I think my biggest advice to Chelsea was always take it day by day. Chelsea is a warrior. Chelsea is she takes on so much at once and she doesn't know what to do next, and she has all these possibilities, and it's slow down. There's nothing you can do in these next 90 days or 87 days, whatever it was for her. All you can do is focus on, again, what can you control? You can control taking bookings for when you're available. You can control the contacts you have, talking to someone like Scott D'Amore, or getting in touch with Gail Kim because you want to come to Impact, or in her case, Maria Kanellis and Bobby Cruz at Ring of Honor. Let's give you all the contacts, but take it day by day because there's nothing you can do. So it was just slowing her brain down and letting her focus on what she can do when she's getting shape. Obviously her arm has been broken on and off. So, getting into rehab and functional workouts, that what can you still do with your ailment. So my biggest advice is slow down and take it day by day and take those 90 days to figure out what your next steps are, but don't think you need to do it all at once.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Gail Kim there, and she's obviously an Impact legend. What is she like to have around, and what have you learned from her?
Oh gosh, so much that I've learned, and I think we've seen it on TV specifically in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and it's character development, and it's taking it to the next level, and she's really good at nitpicking and pointing out okay, you kind of did it there, but we can push it tenfold. And for me, I'm a back against the wall, I'm going to prove you wrong kind of person. So hearing those critiques makes me want to work harder. And then having someone like Gail, who is the greatest knockout of all time, Hall of Famer, has done it all at Impact Wrestling, built this division from the ground up. You have that person there working with you every day, and it's I don't want what she did to be in vain. If I'm carrying this Knockouts championship, I'm carrying this division on my shoulders, I need to do exactly what Gail did and more, And I want to make her proud. I don't want her to feel like I'm not doing all that I can to push this division to the forefront of women's wrestling. So besides just learning so much from her and being able to take the Virtuosos to the next level, I think she's been able to push me and motivate me more than I've ever been motivated in my life.
Mm-hmm. Another legend you had interaction with, you retired Jazz. What was that like? And did you grow up watching Jazz?
So yes and no. Like, she wasn't really on TV when I was a wrestling fan, but then obviously I like once I discovered all of women's wrestling, you know, obviously Jazz was so ahead of her time, and so like she wasn't a hidden gem, but kind of like she's, you know what I mean? She wasn't the Trish Stratus and she wasn't the Tori Wilson, but for people like me to see those people who were like, you should have got those opportunities. I never got to work with Jazz before she came to Impact, and just to sit and listen to her and hear, you know, her point of view of wrestling and what she's been through and how she's overcome obstacles and all things like that is motivating, because you're like, oh, I get to work with this person. I want to, again, do them justice. And I'm retiring Jazz. So if I beat her, like, I want what she's accomplished to be worth it, especially in Impact. And she had never been to Impact either. So all of it was just such a cool, like, melting of minds to work with her. And I felt not sympathy, but I don't know what the word is. Like, I felt like we came from similar paths. So to be able to get that opportunity to work with her, and then it to be career versus title, just up the ante for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, still on the mystery opponent, since it could be anyone, what like legends would you most like to face?
Oh, you know, I said Mickey before, and I've known Mickey pretty much my whole career. So for her to come back to Impact, she's kind of got a chip on her shoulder now, would be really cool. She's a former Knockouts champion. Awesome Kong. I don't know that that's possible, but I've seen people throw it out there. I have wrestled her, and she tapped out to me on an independent show, WWR in Massachusetts, a couple years ago. That would be really cool to have a rematch. I don't know, Victoria, she's come back to wrestling the last couple, you know, she was in the Royal Rumble. So if she's up to wrestle Victoria, let's go. You know, there's so many possibilities, and that's what makes Slammiversary so exciting. And that's what makes the catchphrase, like, we're changing the world, real, is there's so many people, past, present, future, who could come in. It could be someone, you know, who hasn't really made a name for themselves. And that's exciting too. So I don't know. There's so many possibilities. That's why I keep tweeting, give me hints. Who could it be?
Someone who's starting to make a name for themselves is Lady Foss, that you faced the other week. What was she like, and what do you think she can bring to the Impact women's roster? She
is so crazy athletic. And we only got to see a glimpse of it. Unfortunately, you know, wrestling me on Impact, you know, last week. But if you get to, like, I encourage people to seek her out. She's working with NWA right now, her independent stuff. She is so crazy athletic, and I think it's so unique. And there's not anyone like on the top of my head that can bring to the table what she brings to the table right now. So I just kept telling her, like, make these things your moments. And unfortunately, I had been in the situation you're in very many times. So, you know, bring your best self to the table, and hopefully, you know, Impact sees something in her. So if she was to join the Knockouts division, I think that is like a total victory for us. I think we're still building. You know, when I debuted at Impact, there was Nevaeh, there was Tasha Steelz, there was Kimberly, and then there was me. And I think that this year, there's so many possibilities to do the same thing and continue to grow our division to be the best division in the world.
Do you think with the, so you have quite a few people that are currently, like, released not anywhere that people know the name of, and then you have other, like, you know, WWE, AEW, Impact, NWA. Do you feel like the Knockouts division, it's important to then also look to those, like, independent wrestlers that haven't done anything at all to bring in, even though you could really stack with as many, like, household names type people as you could?
Yeah, I think it's always cool to have the big debut, right? And it's exciting that, like, Deonna Purrazzo is coming to Impact, or you know, Kimberly's coming to Impact. But I would argue that Tasha Steelz was one of those people that was like, we kind of know who this person is, but she hasn't really gotten an opportunity to like break through yet. And the minute Impact signed her, it was like, there she is, and who is this person? And she's so charismatic and dynamic and fun and energetic, and you just feel her through the TV. Impact made her. Impact, and obviously it's her being her, but like getting those opportunities, Impact can take credit for that. And I think that that's how you develop people. You obviously want, people in for the long haul, and to be signed to, a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal or whatever it is, really gives people time to develop and become homegrown Impact talent. And I think that someone like Tasha Steelz was able to do that. Even before her tag partner Kiera has been able to grow through her 3 or 4 years at Impact now. So I absolutely think that's important, because you're picking these hidden gems and you're showing the world like, yeah, we could make Deonna a star, but she's been everywhere, so we know what she kind of brings to the table. Bringing in these hidden talents that it's kind of like, okay, here's your opportunity to sink or swim, really makes a talent. And, I got those opportunities with Impact, 2014, 2016 to showcase myself. If you come full package, full ready, like someone like Tasha did, the sky is the limit. And I think we've only been able to see a small bit of what she's been able to do. And it's been a year and a half. So I'm excited from a personal level to see what else she can do. But I get really excited when there's unknown talent coming in and I get to work with them and be able to show them to the world a little bit.
So when you've been asking people for ideas about who your opponent could be, a lot of people have named men. And, I don't think it's going to be a guy, but I did want to ask what your opinions on intergender wrestling are, and is it something that you would like to do more of, because you're such a dominant female wrestler?
Right. I've not really touched too much ever into intergender wrestling. I did it a little bit when I first started, and there was kind of no girls around where I grew up. And then I've only had like one real intergender match with Matt Riddle. Maybe it was 2016 or 2017. So it's not something that I like to do too much. So I don't necessarily think, with my feelings kind of being out there and everyone knows how I feel about it, that it'll be a guy. And I know like Matt Cardona and I have gone back and forth joking, and the possibility it could be Murphy or Heath. I think it's fun to interact with people and troll them a little bit, but it's not necessarily my forte. What's exciting about Impact Wrestling is that someone like Jordan Grace, who wants to kind of cross those division boundaries, can, and Impact is super open-minded to do it. So I think if the opportunity was right and it made sense and we could make a story out of it, I would 100% be on board. And it's cool that we can do that, but not necessarily the ideas I'm pitching moving forward.
Totally. So we've seen the men, they have really got involved in the AEW crossing over thing. The Good Brothers been back and forth. We haven't really seen it with the women. What women would you like to see on that roster? Would you like to face?
I think first and foremost it would be Britt. She's the AEW Women World Champion right now. She's my best friend, so that would be like really fun on a personal level. But I've also spoken about wanting to be the first woman through that forbidden door. So at the time it was Shida who was the champion. I'd love to face Shida. I still would, because I think she's absolutely phenomenal. Thunder Rosa is on that list. Someone like Big Swole or Red Velvet, like these people got kind of, and not necessarily Big Swole, but we've really seen Red Velvet break out and like become an absolute star. And I think she's great. She's someone that I think our styles are very different. So we can produce some really cool things. And they have such a stacked roster. It's just about how I could mix and match and but obviously I would want to be the AEW Women's Champion first and foremost.
Before you were in Impact, when you were back in WWE in the Performance Center, you were seen in a video training with The Rock's daughter Simone, and I just wanted to ask, like, what was she like, and what was that like when she appeared in the Performance Center and he came along?
Yeah, that was really cool. And that was probably like a year or so after Simone had already been training at the PC. So Simone's great, and Simone loves wrestling and like loves to like pick people's brains. And Simone was always asking like, could you stay and like do some extra training with me? Or, you know, Sarah Amato would ask me to stay and do some extra training and really help her. And when we did get paired up together, it was fun because she's learning wrestling before my eyes, and to be able to give back a little bit and teach her the right way, and know that for her to know she'd be safe and she can ask the questions and she's not going to get hurt, and she's really being taught the right way to go about wrestling. I am honored to have been a part of that. I think giving back is so important, and especially, you know, it's Simone. So that's The Rock's daughter. So that's cool because you're really teaching this generational wrestler who hopefully one day is going to go on and be a star, but also carve out her own path. There was just so many elements that were really cool. And then when The Rock came, no one knew. And, you know, the women's coach, Sarah Amato, had come up to me and said, hey, we're going to partner you with Simone today. This is kind of the drill we're going to do, just so you know ahead of time. And I was like, yeah, okay, like, no problem. We had been working together for quite a few training sessions at that point during the weeks. And then we all got training. It was kind of a day, like an all-in day. So everyone had to be at the PC. There was every class going at once. And The Rock just kind of walked around and was watching. And then Simone and I, it was our turn to go in, and he was sitting ringside, and it was like, oh, crap. But it was also kind of like, I want to make her look good in front of her dad. I want her to shine, and to him to see her kick ass and, like, you know, be a superstar. So again, like, I was honored to be able to do that. And then I got to meet with him and him critique what we did and things like that. Like, that is a once in a lifetime opportunity that will probably never ever happen for me again. And for that to be on YouTube and kind of out there and people get to see that moment is really special for me.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. There's been a bit of talk recently because some comments have been made about like who has the best women's division, and Impact's like biggest strength has really always been the women's division. So having been to other places, what do you think it is about Impact that sets it apart? I feel like you guys get a lot of time to tell stories, and there's many different storylines going on. What's your thoughts on what makes it so good?
Yeah, I agree. I think that everyone is always being utilized. So whether you're in a backstage segment, or you're in the ring wrestling, or you're in an in-ring segment but not wrestling, no one is sitting in the locker room waiting for it to be their turn. Somehow they figured out this perfect dynamic where you can have 3 or 4 or 5 women's storylines going on at once. And I think that is what makes the Knockouts division so special. And then on top of it too, like, we just have this legacy of being a knockout, and what that means, and you know, how I feel about working with Gail and wanting to constantly do good for Gail, and that be my motivation. I feel like that is the consensus of our entire locker room. Everyone is pushing for everyone to be their best self, to put out their best product. There's not necessarily, you know, the typical wrestling politics or the people you don't want to work with or things like that. I feel like we all come to work and we all want to work for each other. And I don't necessarily know that that is every environment. So it's just kind of the perfect storm with management and the girls in our locker room to put out the best product and make it the best division in the world.
And so when you first came back to Impact, and you've just had such an incredible year or so, like being in Impact, what did you set out to achieve, and how much have you exceeded it by being this reigning Knockouts champion for so long?
I think I set out to I had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove, you know, the people who doubted me, the people who said I wasn't ready, the people who said I wasn't worthy, I wanted to prove them wrong. And I think just being able to go so quickly from NXT to Impact and debut off the bat was like, okay, I'm doing it. Okay, yeah. And then to go right into a story for the Knockouts Championship, and then win the Knockouts Championship, like in my second match at the company at Slammiversary, was really special for me because I grew up wanting to be a professional wrestler. I grew up wanting to be, you know, a women's champion, and I never, anywhere I'd been, had gotten to do that yet. So that was the one bucket list thing that was like, if I'm going to do anything, I'd love to be the Knockouts champion. I didn't expect it to be so fast. But, you know, I think being able to do that was just what I wanted to do. I wanted to come in, I wanted to make my presence known. I wanted people to understand who I was and what I was setting out to do, and then become a champion. And to hold that championship, you know, almost for a year or so, you know, minus a week or two, to have won, you know, Knockout of the Year 2020, Wrestler of the Year 2020, it just validated everything I've always felt about myself, the fight that I had to put up to be myself, and, you know, all of the obstacles that I had been through in the last 2 years were worth it, because I'm doing the work I always set out to do. I'm making myself proud in what I'm doing. I feel successful, and I feel worthy, and I feel a part of, and just like my mental health as a human is way better. So, you know, there wasn't really any goals other than like, hey, I'm going to prove you wrong, and maybe one day be a champion. And now I am living my best life every day as a 2-time Knockouts champion. I have opportunities, you know, to wrestle for the Reina de Reinas championship in Mexico. I have, you know, opportunities to travel the world doing independent stuff and still be who I am at home. So, you know, I don't know what my goals are next. I guess I just need to retain my Knockouts championship at Slammiversary. I don't know.
Well, finally, just because you mentioned there, like, people saying that you weren't ready or whatever, like, to go from being thought like that to being a champion, and like leading a division for so long, like, what do you think that they weren't seeing or overlooking, or is there some kind of system that just doesn't work there that we've seen with someone like Ty Conti as well, that's just been like an incredible revelation, and you're like 2 complete success stories once they're out?
Yeah, I think it's part of a system failure. I think it's an environmental failure in the environment you're in. And I also just think when it comes to NXT, because that's what we're talking about, right? You're with these people 24/7. You are training with them 5 to 6 days a week. You have extra promo classes. You have extra skull classes. Like, if someone doesn't like you that is in a power position, then your opportunities necessarily won't be there right away. And I felt, for me, because I'm very vocal about how I'm feeling, because I'm very vocal about I need critique and I need feedback and I want to get better and I want to be a TV star. How do I do this in this environment? Isn't always taken the right way.
Yeah.
And I think I just fell into like a hole of like, people just didn't necessarily like me, or like my attitude, or didn't think I was working hard enough, or didn't think things about me that were preconceived notions. And then I just was like, this isn't the environment for me, because I'm not these things. And I want to work hard, but I need the motivation to work hard. And, you know, I can't speak for Tay, but I do feel like being able to break out of that system and have those preconceived notions and being able to start fresh and to just wipe the slate clean and be like, okay, you know, for me at Impact, it was Madison Rayne, it was Scott D'Amore, it was Don Callis being like, we believe in you.
Yeah.
I don't think I had heard that in 18 months. And I was in tears of like, you believe in me? Oh my God. Like, I very much feel like it's probably a similar situation to Tay, where it's like, just go out there and do your thing and see what you do. And when you're not coming back through the curtain on eggshells, like, what did I do wrong? How could I be better? People are very encouraging, and you hear the positives before you hear the negatives. So I don't know if it's a system failure or an environmental failure, but I just think when you are pushed down and bogged down for so long, when you break out of that, it's like, you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're seeing that not every situation is like that. And you take those positive moments and the positive feedback, and you kind of rejuvenate yourself. And I, again, can't speak for Tay or anyone else who's been in that situation. I know, you know, my boyfriend, Steve Macklin, was in a similar situation, and now he's thriving at Impact. Chelsea Green will be one of those people when we see more of what she can do. Mickie James has talked about it. I think that breaking out is going to be the best thing for some people, and they're going to thrive in the same way I have, in the same way Tay has. And I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, that's also, thank you so much for talking to me, Deonna, and just congratulations on everything you've done. And I can't wait to see what's next in Slammiversary. Can't wait to see your opponent.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see my opponent.